Right on. Well, hey, you know what? It is already one past, so let's begin. My name is Ryan Sprague. I am the marketing dude over at REI Automated, joined here by Keith Gillespie, our fearless CEO and master salesman. We've got some awesome people here. John, welcome, Chad, and others. Ryan, Amy, welcome. And as you join, feel free to flick on your video, show us
You
your
definitely
face,
should. Don't be shy.
smile, show us those pearly whites, and
I was
say
just gonna
hello.
call Chad out. I'm like, hey, we got the best looking guy here. He has his freaking video off.
Look
How
at
lame
that
is this?
beard. How could you
It's
hide that?
great.
Come on. And if you're watching the live stream in the Facebook group, or if this is watching on the replay, I hope you enjoy this. You're going to learn a lot. And I think I included in the email and other in the posts and stuff, we've got really a pretty amazing new tool that's, well, it's new and it's
Dude.
awesome from what Keith has told me and what I saw in Matt Larson's post. I don't who here knows who Matt Larson is? Anybody? Raise your hand or type
John,
in
you
the
don't know
chat.
who Matt Larson is?
Matt Larson.
Oh, wow.
No, I don't
He
think so
is
anyway.
he is a secret legend in the
He's
REI community.
he's amazing.
If you've been around in REI and doing real estate investing long enough, you probably have bumped into or seen or heard about Matt Larson. He has an interesting history. Keith, you probably know more about his history. We
Uh,
will have him join us
yeah,
someday.
we'll just invite him.
We will.
Uh,
I remember reading some of his history in a post, and it was, I think his dad or grandfather maybe got started in
I think it was his
wholesaling
grandpa.
many years ago.
Mm,
Anyway, family business. Interesting
yeah.
stuff. So I heard about this through Keith and Matt, and then I was like, wow, that's interesting. And then I said to Keith, what is a hot button topic right now in real estate news? Is there anything? Because real estate's so kind of boring in some ways. And and Keith was like, yeah, well, I just had two different people tell me that wholesaling is dead this week.
This
And I was
week,
like,
this week, like today's Thursday. Me and Ryan were talking yesterday, and he's like, "What do you want to talk about tomorrow?" I was like, "Dude, I don't know. You know me better than this. I don't prepare stuff to talk about." He's like, "Well, what's a hot topic?" And I was like, "Well, I've talked to like 20 people this week, and I've had two of those 20 this week say wholesaling is dead." That's
and we laughed.
yeah,
Um, because, obviously it's not. It's alive and well. I think all of you know. But I think there is a general feeling like there are some issues with wholesaling that there are some restrictions that are increasing
yeah.
nationwide. So we're here to talk about some of that and also introduce you to something that could be an effective tool in your arsenal. So without further
We
ado, I'll let Keith keep talking. Hunter, welcome, sir. Good to have your video on. Don't crash the car, brother.
yes.
Just
Thank you for having your video on. My goodness.
okay, drive
It is
safe.
welcome. And feel
Okay.
free to unmute at any time. I kind of wanted this to be an open dialogue regarding wholesaling. Admittedly, I don't, as I just stated, I don't like prepare for a week between Friday and the next Thursday. That's just not me. I'm not responsible enough for that. I do feel like I have a pretty good finger on the pulse of trends and things that are happening in real estate. I'd like to think of myself as being fairly well connected, seeing as I have joined at this point more than 50 programs, and I kind of know all the people, and I've been trained by a lot of folks, and everyone, everyone has something of value, and you can learn something from everybody, and they know people of value. So I kind of get connected just by proxy, just by being in these groups. And so we all know that there's new legislation the last 2 years that's been coming down the pipe. This thing in South Carolina recently is absolutely huge. At least it is for me in my Facebook. I very rarely get on Facebook. And when I do, it's certainly not to be a consumer. It's to be a whatever the opposite is, putting content out there. And so whenever I scroll and I see like, oh, wholesaling is crazy. Did you see all these laws that are being passed? And then folks in our community are asking me, Keith, are you still wholesaling? Well, of course I'm still wholesaling. Well, how are you combating what's happening in South Carolina? And well, I have an answer for that. And then somebody will ask me, well, how are you dealing with it in Illinois? Well, I have an answer for that. And I kind of wanted to share some of these resources that I have. It's all going to be free. I'm just going to give it to you. And if you're already a client, you probably already have some of this stuff. But I wanted to talk about keeping up to date is number one, being prepared is number two, and having a contingency is number three. So I should write this down. Keeping up to date is number one, being prepared is number two, and having a contingency is number three. So the first thing that I want to share with you is I keep this wholesaling restriction thing pretty well monitored. And each state that is here, like some people, well, everybody who knows me knows that I hate Illinois. Illinois is the stupidest state ever. Illinois requires wholesalers to have a real estate license. Non-licensed individuals are banned from wholesaling with potential penalties, including fines up to $25,000 and a 3-year jail term. What a communist prick of a freaking state is this? Right? I understand that there is some shady stuff that happens in wholesaling. Unfortunately, I've actually been a victim of it, like quite a lot, quite several times. Either
Craigslist.
trying to buy a house. Yeah, I can get into that in a little bit. Trying to buy a wholesale, and I enter into an agreement to purchase a property, and this person is what's called daisy chaining the deal, but he doesn't realize that the person that he has an agreement with has daisy chained the deal from somebody else who's daisy chained the deal. And it just keeps on going back like 4 people. And you're like, holy smokes, like this person is actually selling it for less than what he agreed to buy it from this dude for. Like all the numbers get messed up because people are retarded. They don't know how to do math, and this is their first deal, and they're just trying to get it done. And it gets all convoluted. And I've also been on the other end where I have a property under contract. I am direct to seller, and somebody is daisy chaining my deal, and I'm on their cash buyers list. So I get an email of my property under contract listed $40,000 more than what I have it listed for. Are you retarded? And then I'll call this person out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I have it under contract." I don't think you do. Show me your purchase and sales agreement. I'm going to need a $15,000 non-refundable deposit. The hell you do? I am direct to seller, and I have an affidavit to prove it. So these things sort of happen, and I understand the need for regulation. Just wanted to state that openly in the air, and know that I've been keeping up to date. Anytime I hear of a law, like even Texas has imposed something. License is required for wholesaling. Specific regulations on activities. Wholesalers must be licensed as real estate brokers or work under a licensed broker. Violators can face fines up to $4,000 per incident. So I keep up to date on this. If you'd like this, I will provide you with a link to it at the end of the call. It's good to keep your finger on the pulse of what is happening in the market. And when people are freaking out about what's happening in South Carolina, I just want you to not be too worried about it, because although the state legislation will come out and a lot of title companies, for instance, we were going to wholesale a house and now we're going to need to double close it. And the title attorney that we're working with was like, "Oh, we don't feel comfortable double closing it." So I went to a different attorney and a different attorney and a different attorney and a different attorney. And finally I found one that says, yeah, that's not how we read the law. We read the law that you can double close in South Carolina. We're willing to risk it, and we'll go ahead and close the deal for you. Okay, wonderful. So it's going to be it's not a blanket of like, oh, we're shutting down wholesaling. No, now you're going to have to double close. And some title attorneys aren't going to be comfortable with closing even with a double close, but other attorneys will. And then there's also the nationwide ones that are going to be a little bit slower to respond to legislation that's coming down the pipe. So keep up to date is number one. Number two is be prepared. So when I talk about double closing, some people don't know what that is. I'm going to go into that, and then I'm going to go into some documentation. Double closing is where you and the seller. So the seller is A and we are B. They are party A and we are party B. Oh my goodness. Just let 4 people in a row. 2 seconds
I don't think
apart
you
from each
gave
other.
me like
Oh, I didn't. I
co-host.
definitely
Yeah,
need
you
to
can
give you.
let me do that.
Super distracting. Thank you, bro.
Hi, Keith. How are you?
I'm doing well. Who is this? I
It's
recognize.
Scott Rosenhaus.
Scott, how are you, sir?
Good. Been years.
Good, man. Glad to
Yeah.
have you on. You should turn your video on and change your name from iPhone to Scott. Actually, I'll hook you up. I'll do the Scott thing. I know you don't know how to do that.
I'm in the car actually right now, so I don't know.
I'm just
Go
giving
on
you
now.
a hard
You
time.
remember?
I'm
At least I
giving you a hard
funded your
time.
deals back then.
All right, so we're talking about double closing, A and B. So the seller is party A, and the buyer, us, is party B. With a double close, you actually are closing. You actually do take title for all of 15 seconds, and from one stroke of the pen on this page to the other stroke of the pen on this page, you own that house. And then you, as party B, are now the seller. And party C, the person who you are quote unquote wholesaling, which this isn't wholesaling, legally, according to case law in some states, party C is now the buyer, and you're selling your property to this person. So what you need to do to be prepared in order to do this is, number one, to have an agreement, an AB to BC contract in order to double close. But more importantly, you need to have the funds to do it. You need to have the transactional funding. And this is where people kind of get caught with their pants down, where it's only like 12 hours or 24 hours prior to close. The title company says, we refuse to do this. And you're like, dude, I'm going to make $30,000 off this wholesale. Like, I can't just let this deal fall apart literally in the 11th hour. And they don't know somebody who will do transactional funding. So I have a guy, I actually have 2 guys who do transactional funding, 100%. Are they expensive? Yes, especially when you're starting to work with them. One of them is a really near and dear friend of mine. He actually owns he owns 9 hard money lending companies across the nation. And he just started a transactional funding business. I haven't used him as a transactional funder yet. However, the person that he is, he will absolutely become my primary once he dots his I's and crosses his T's. But I also have in my wholesale checklist here. So if you're a client, you have access to this. However, it has been newly updated, and so you'll be getting the newest update. It always happens, as you all know, on the first week of every month. So next month you will be able to come in, you'll go into your template, you'll scroll down, you'll find the wholesale process, and you'll click on this. And there's going to be some new stuff. Here's the list of states that I was just mentioning, by the way, their wholesale regulations as well as citations proving my findings. So if you want to see, like, there's no specific wholesale regulations on Alabama, you can go ahead and click on this link and it's going to take you to the Real Estate Commission website for Alabama, where I'm citing my source that I didn't find anything. The thing where I did find that there's a penalty or a restriction or a ban, or you have to have a license or anything like that, I cited my source there as well. Okay, so that's going to be right here at the very top. But then let's go down to the very bottom. If you need transactional funding to double close, just reach out to my buddy Aaron. If you need transaction, contact Aaron using the template below. Just send him an email. Here's his email. Here's his company. Here's his name. Here's the information that he needs from you. First, last, phone, email, entity, address, state, amount needed, the date of closing. Does the title company or the title attorney know that you're going to be double closing. Who am I reaching out to? Not me, but him. Who's he reaching out to? Their email, their phone number, and are they happening at the same title company? Both A, B, and BC closings happening at the same title company or closing attorney. That's it. It's really, really simple. So that would be number 2, which is be prepared. And in addition to this, by the way, I sort of forgot to share something, and I need to share my sound. Ryan had alluded to this, and I kind of just want to hit it really quickly. Also, this is probably going to be the shortest REI secrets ever, unless like there's a ton of questions. Or we'll be here as long as we need to, by the way, as always.
I have
But
questions if nobody else does.
I'm going just super, super fast. I really only have 3 points, and then we'll answer questions and wrap up. So a month ago, no, this month, it's still May, right? Yeah. May, this company launched. It was its seed launch. They have, it's called MVP, minimum viable product. And it works. The app works. It is functional. Does it look good? No. Is there any whiz bangs, low speed, high drag, sexy, whatever that? No. There's nothing that's not essential on the website yet, but it will find you a buyer. So everybody probably knows what Investorlift is. Investorlift is super, super powerful for finding cash buyers. It's basically like the MLS for off-market properties. It's where everybody goes to find off-market properties. You can reach out to cash buyers via text and call and email.
But this is not Investorlift.
Nope, this is not Investorlift. There's a new program out there, and I sort of need to get brushed up on my prices for Investorlift, but I'm pretty sure the cheapest is $6,600 per year. The next one is like $13,000 or $14,000 for the year. Does anybody actually know the prices? I need somebody who's smarter than me that actually freaking cares about this stuff. Hunter, you know?
No, all I know is that people are always offering you the ability to kind of get on their account.
Yeah,
So we've had
because they
a
don't want to
couple
freaking
offers.
pay for that crap.
Yeah, exactly. So it's there's ways to kind of get in underneath somebody else. I think we had an offer 2 weeks ago, one of our team guys, for like $500 to jump on there.
Dang.
So
That's cool. Okay,
yeah.
so I'm pretty sure it, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Please don't quote me or make me get in trouble here, but I'm pretty sure it's like 6,600 and then like 13,000 or 14,000 and then like 120,000 or something like this per year for cartel mode. And this new stuff, and by the way, I love Investorlift. Robert Wensley is a friend of mine. I have known Robert Wensley, who's the owner, who's the founder of Investorlift. I knew him prior to him even coming out with Investorlift. I was there at the mastermind when he told me that he was going to create it 2 years prior to him actually creating it. It was awesome. I didn't believe that he was going to do it. And 2 years later, he launched this thing. It was dope. I was one of his first 100 clients. I'm so proud of him and excited for what he's done. With that being said, I believe that he has been able to absolutely monopolize the wholesaling data world, and good on him. Dude's probably made $100 million literally just in the last couple of years. His company has blown up. And guess what happens? The market comes in. People who are also smart, savvy, tech-based businesses and investors say, hey, you know what? I'm going to come in and I'm going to undercut the crap out of the big dog, and I'm going to commoditize his stuff. I'm going to come up with something that potentially is better and it's going to be cheaper, and I'm going to steal his market share. And that is exactly what this company has done. They launched this month, and of course, I love being on the bleeding edge of technology. Kind of have to when you own a company called REI Automated. You have to not just be on the cutting edge, but I mean, this crap better be bleeding. Otherwise, you're not doing a good enough job. So they launched this month, and I just wanted to try it out. I got in, I don't remember what, it's been 3 weeks. Today's the 30th. So I've had it a little over 3 weeks now. And we've dispoed a property. We dispoed a darn near impossible property, actually. We've had this thing listed on Investorlift for 5 weeks. We've spent almost $4,000 trying to dispo this godforsaken meth house. And we have this thing for basically free. I cannot believe that nobody has picked it up, but it's in the middle of nowhere. And well, I'm surprised that our cash buyers that have gone to the house didn't get shot, stabbed, or burned or something. I mean, it's just a terrible place to be. And we threw this thing up on this new website, and within 3 days, we had a buyer. So I'm pretty stoked, and it's $250 per month. And it's unlimited free skip tracing. And the phone numbers are actually pretty darn decent. Like, the accuracy of the data is good. So let me show you what this looks like. Oh, crap. I think that I shared my sound. Yeah, all right. I'm good. I'm going to share a little 2-minute video of Investor Base here, which is the name of the company.
Welcome to Investor Base. Today I'll give you a quick look at how to use the software. For additional information, simply book a demo with our team or start searching with a 7-day free trial. So to run a search, you're simply going to type in the address of the property you're trying to sell and press search. Right now, our software is pulling every flipper or landlord within 2 miles that has flipped or bought a rental in the last year. Our software identifies the transaction, skip traces the flipper landlord, and then populates the results into our system. So we have a map view here, and we have a list view here. On the map view, the blue icon indicates a flipper, and the green icon indicates a landlord. If you click into a flipper, we have the buyer name, we have the transaction information, and we of course have their phone number. If you click into a landlord, we of course have the buyer name, what they bought it for, number of linked properties, and of course their phone number. So what you have here is a smart list of investors who are actively buying in close proximity to your deal. On the list view, our AI Smart Match technology automatically sorts the results from most likely to buy at the top to least likely to buy at the bottom. To keep track of the status of your deal, we created the My Deals tab. Here you'll find your CRM to track the status of every deal you're working on. If you click into the deal, you'll see this is where every buyer is. You can change the deal status at the top. You can track interested buyers and take notes on progress. Here you can filter by buyer status. And last, you have the ability to export the results into a CSV file. From here, you can insert the list into an SMS campaign, a dialer campaign, or any other marketing campaign of your choosing. So now that you've gotten a quick tour, click the tab below to book a demo with our team or start searching with a 7-day free trial.
Cool. So that's Investor Base. Like I said, we've actually used this to sell. Well, it's not sold yet. We've entered into an agreement. Sell a very difficult property. And I don't know, I have this up. I'm prepared to kind of play around with it and show you what it looks like. You put in this, this is our house here, the address, and literally everybody is already skip traced. And you click on it, you can call, copy and paste, put this into your smartphone, your smart dialer, whatever. If it's a good phone number, then you'll check it. If it's a bad phone number, then you'll exit. If you don't know, they don't pick up, whatever, then leave it as a question mark. Here's a status. You can kind of use this as like a little mini CRM, if you will. Here's the status of this person. And then here's the status of your deal. You literally go down from top to bottom and just call in priority order. Pretty stinking cool. So if you're interested in that, I have, again, going back to our wholesale process here. If you're not a client, you really should be. Just to get access to this is worth it. Under post online ads, even though technically you're not posting an ad when you're using Investor Base, you're still getting in touch with cash buyers. So like, we'll prepare the listing photos, we'll list the property on the MLS if we need to, we'll definitely put it on Zillow, it's for sale by owner. And then here we have Operation Investor Base, and it's literally 3 steps. So I put down here, although it's not posting an ad online, the software tells you the exact buyers that will pay the highest price for your wholesale deal. It literally lists them out from top to bottom in numerical order with the buyers that will pay the highest prices at the top. And it gives you your cell phone number without having to pay extra for skip tracing. Step 1, type in the address of the house you want to sell. Step 2, a list populates instantly with the buyers that will pay the most for your house in numerical order. Step 3, pick up the phone and call the top buyers. The best buyers are at the top of the list. If you don't have an investor base account, then you can watch that demo video. They got a couple other demo videos if you want to watch as well. I got them to give me a pretty big discount off the first month, and you can use Aria Automated. You'll get $100 off your first month by entering in that code. So there's a difference that we've noticed in the last 3 weeks between calling cash buyers on Investor Base versus calling cash buyers off Investor Lift. When you go to Investor Lift and you say, I'm a cash buyer, I'm registering, if you will, for this zip code, this county, this state, and you will identify what is your buy box. You'll confirm your contact information. Here is the best phone number. Here is the best email. You are like knowingly and willingly giving your contact information. You are putting yourself on a list, and you know that you're putting yourself on a list. So this is a great dichotomy between Investor Lift and Investor Base. Here's the thing. With Investor Lift, people are on the list, so they're expecting phone calls. So this is good because they know what the frick you're calling them for. The problem with this, though, is they have so many people calling them about deals that they kind of get picky and choosy. Whereas Investor Base, they don't know that they're on the list. They have no idea why you are calling. That's why you should crazy ex-girlfriend and make sure they pick up the phone 91% of the time. And then when they pick up the phone and you're pitching them the idea, hey, I have this house, it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, it's about half a mile away from this address that I saw you picked up last year. Is this something that you'd be interested in? You pitch that idea of, oh my gosh, this is a good opportunity for me to pick up another rental, another flip right down the street from this other one. This is awesome. They're a lot less snooty, I've found the last couple of weeks. People who are Investor Lift, a little bit snooty, they kind of are picky and choosy, whereas people on Investor Base, as long as you can get them on the phone, just triple dial them like I teach. Just get them on the phone and they're like super excited to talk to me. That, I'll straight up, they'll just give me their card. That's an amazing price, $54,000. Do you know how much I paid for my other house? I go, actually, I do. I know that you paid $84,000 for it. Hey, if you wanna pay me $30,000 more for this house, I'm happy to take your money. However, I figured I'd cut you a little bit of a deal, let you walk with some equity, and we can just do a nice, fast, clean transaction. How's that sound to you? And then we send them out to the property. Really cool. All right, that's Investor Base. That is keeping up to date, being prepared, and then let's talk about having a contingency. In some states, it's getting really hard to wholesale houses, and that's why it's going to become more and more and more important to know how to novate a house. If I could, this is not what novation means, but in layman's terms, novating a house is wholesaling a house on the MLS. Novation is not a real estate investing term. It has nothing to do with real estate. It's actually a contract law term that goes back, I think, well over 100 years. That simply means it's a substitution. So similar to an assignment agreement, you know how an assignment agreement, hey, I have this property under contract and it says that, for my company, Crown Properties, is being the buyer, but it says comma and or assigns on the contract. So now I'm assigning my rights and my responsibilities over to this person as a buyer. A novation, not the same thing. It's similar, but it's not the same thing as an assignment. Novation agreement simply is this. It's a little bit more complicated, but let me break this down for you. Oh, you know what? A couple weeks ago, I wrote a really good note. Well, I think that it's a really good note. Hopefully, this will help you. Novation. Now that I'm under the gun, I have to scroll through all of my notes and I'm not going to be able to find it in a timely manner. Is there anybody else who has like a notepad on their phone and it's just like continually racking up new notes and everything just gets pushed further and further and further down, and this thing will scroll for years? I've been adding to this thing for years.
Yeah, and it's not searchable, right?
Here we go. I found it.
Oh,
Innova-
nice. Good job.
Innovation. I came up with this myself. Innovation is a wholesale style transaction. No cash, no repairs. With a house in wholesale condition, meaning it's a little bit outdated, but in solid mechanical condition, being sold to a retail buyer on the MLS. I'll say that without my little parentheses here. A novation is a wholesale style transaction with a house in wholesale condition being sold to a retail buyer on the MLS. So this is what you have to do. In order to wholesale a house, it's fairly simple. Instead of using a purchase and sales agreement, you can, by the way, you can use a purchase and sales agreement, but I've been advised by my attorney not to. Instead of using a purchase and sales agreement, we're going to use an option agreement, which means I have an option to buy the house. I'm not executing that option. When the time comes to execute the option, now I'm going to have a purchase and sales agreement. But in the beginning, I'm going to do an option agreement. Once I have that option to sell, there's some more paperwork. I'm going high level here right now. Once you have that option agreement, that's step one. Step two is go find a realtor. Find a realtor to list the house on the MLS. After that, the realtor is going to go find a buyer. When the buyer is found, now you're going to go back to the seller. They've given you an offer. They found the buyer. The buyer says, hey, I'd like to submit an offer on 123 Main Street. Wonderful. I'm going to go back to the buyer. Now I'm going to execute 3 documents. Document number 1 is my purchase and sales agreement between the seller and me. Next, document number 2 is a novation agreement, which is, again, novation means to substitute. Hey, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, we've just signed this purchase and sales agreement, which means that you're going to get whatever their walkaway is, $60,000 cash at close. Now, we're going to execute a novation agreement, which is a buyer substitution agreement that states we had this contract and now we're going to substitute that contract. Keith, what are we going to substitute it with? Glad you asked. Number 3, document number 3, now we have the purchase and sales agreement with the end buyer. The seller signs the new purchase and sales agreement with the end buyer. Kind of similar to wholesaling, right? That's what a novation is. So when I say to have a contingency, you should have a contingency and you should have a tertiary. I almost always have like, here's plan A, here's plan B, here's plan C. Here's my primary, here's my secondary, and here's my tertiary. So if I go to wholesale, which is right now my primary exit strategy, if I go to wholesale a house and I'm not able to, then we'll double close. If I can't find anybody to double close, then I'll do a novation. If I can't do a novation, I'll just take title to it myself and flip it. I'll do a wholesale or a retail. Yeah, I'll have to raise private money. I know, and I'm well prepared for that. But that's my plan A, B, C1, and C2, if you will. Okay, I wanted to talk about the list of states, the regulations, and citing my sources. I wanted to talk about investor base. I wanted to talk about transactional funding to double close. I wanted to talk about novation. And lastly, the purchase and sales agreement. So number 1, your purchase and sales agreement in many states now. There's enough case law to state that if your purchase and sales agreement does not explicitly state, saying here's the buyer name, comma, and or assigns is no longer good enough. Like having that little clause, it's too small, basically, is what case law has stated. Anybody's going to overlook this. You have 1,700 pages, words in your contract, and or assigns is 3. This needs to to carry some weight, some merit in your purchase and sales agreement, you need to have a paragraph talking about it. Wonderful. So we have a paragraph. Actually, I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I may as well. Purchase.
What are you sharing, Keith?
I was just gonna share my just that paragraph.
Okay.
I gotta go to the right Google account though.
Right, because I remember when we did the live training on the PSA, and you were like, some judge overturned
Yeah,
one of
they,
your yes,
they overturned like the
they were
house
like,
was
all it
sold.
says is assigned, so it's not good enough. Sorry.
No, so
And then you're like, okay, I'm adding a paragraph to make it very clear.
this will never happen to me again. Is basically what I said. Like
I thought that was
I
interesting.
have been duped. So my contract used to say, let me share my screen. This is useless. I'm not sharing my screen. My
Did he just cut out? Keith, you froze. Don't worry, he'll be back. Fascinating stuff. Well, I'm sure he'll return shortly. Yeah, his computer restarted. Cliffhanger. What did his contract used to say? I'm sure some of you guys have the contract, so you know what it says now. And obviously that paragraph that specifically states, the contract can also be assigned instead of, taking title, allows you to basically, use it for assignment. In whatever state you're doing it in. I'm not the expert, so you guys probably know more than I do about this. I'm interested to know what your guys' thoughts are on anything that Keith has shared today, because actually there's quite a bit. He's like, this is going to be short, and we're already almost 40 minutes in. So, yeah, anyone have any thoughts on, wholesaling or anything that Keith has shared? Have any of you guys heard of Investorbase yet, or tried it out? Well, he's popping back in, but feel free to make a comment now before he gets back up and
Oh my goodness sakes.
you're good. I'm
my-
taking questions and
Oh.
response,
Good.
and then you can share your last little nugget there.
Maybe if I can get my freaking video to
Did
work.
you all learn something today?
No.
Yes?
All right. Sorry, guys. That is embarrassing.
Very good. You did. Sweet. Who
All right.
has anybody used transactional funding before? Any of you guys? Or girls? Ladies? Yeah. Transactional funding. Who's used transactional funding to do a double close?
No one.
Yeah, you've done Mamoon. Okay.
One. Okay. Good.
Right on, man. Yeah, I'm like the biggest noob here. I run marketing, no one expects me to know anything about real estate investing, so so everything I know I learned from Keith. But I was just looking around on wholesaling just to try and, what can I find out? Like if I was, a brand new real estate investor, what are people saying on the internet? Like if I search for wholesaling, I want to I was looking around. It was really interesting, how complex wholesaling actually is. Because when I first started working with Keith, I thought, wholesaling seems like the fastest, easiest way to, make money quickly, yeah, as a real estate investor. And I'm sure all of you would agree. And we frequently hear like, well, I just want to wholesale, right? Yeah. And yet, as I was looking into it, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty complex. And basically everywhere I looked was like, you need to have a good real estate attorney and you need to have a really solid contract that allows you to assign, and you need to be very clear when you communicate with your seller that you plan to do an assignment. And if you are not clear and upfront, it could cause problems on the back end. And then Keith had told me that story about how his original contract only said, blah blah blah, or assigns. And then the judge was like, yeah, that's not good enough. So this isn't going to work, and he lost that deal. So like after I heard that and I was reading about this, I thought, oh yeah, the contract you have is probably one of the more important parts of your business. It can certainly for wholesaling because like that is your bread and butter, like those contracts and being able to get them and keep them and then pass them on, sell them. So having a very solid PSA is incredibly important. So that's one of the reasons why I was like, well, we should just start selling our PSA separately for those people who need a better contract. Maybe they're not ready to join our full program, but they need something that's gonna help their business as even just getting started as a wholesaler. You want to have a pretty kick-ass contract, right? So that's one of the reasons why we are offering that. But Keith, yeah,
We're here
please
to
let
set
us
you up for
know.
success. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So let me just, I want to share this thing, and I think this is it, and we can wrap up. So what this used to say, this is paragraph 1 of our purchase and sales agreement. And here's the seller and the address, their address, and here's the buyer and their address. And literally, this used to say buyer, and there was this line, and it said and or assigns. And I've had so many stupid things happen where I enter into a purchase and sales agreement and then the person dies. Like my seller dies, or my buyer dies, or they go into a coma, or they get incarcerated and now they're in prison and I can't talk to them. So anyway, we now are fully protected, and his, her, their, or their entities, heirs, successors, personal representatives, and or assigns. So darn near anybody who shares their last name or as a power of attorney or anything like that. But then still the judge wasn't good with this when it came to an assignment. Even though this was here, it was like, no, you have too many words in your purchase and sales agreement. Nobody, somebody can easily look over this. All right, fine. Be a jerk. Not anymore. Assignability and novation. The seller hereby grants the buyer the irrevocable right to partner with other investors and or to assign this agreement to a third-party purchaser of the buyer's choosing, or to novate this agreement with a replacement agreement with a third-party purchaser of the buyer's choosing without further consent of the seller. And in either such event, the seller shall fully cooperate at buyer's request to transfer the title of the property directly to the third-party purchaser by providing the buyer or the buyer's agent with power of attorney authorizing such.
Okay, Keith. Yeah, I think we don't need
All right,
that.
shut up.
So,
Got it.
Yeah.
This
Thank you.
allows you to
Anyway,
novate
yep, that
and assign. And nobody can say otherwise. This will hold up in court.
it
And
should be good enough. And so far it has been. Awesome. So that's like to make sure, just in case, it's gonna hold up in court and for you with whoever you have signed that contract with you. So yeah, I think that's something that we wanted to share with you, and also investor base. We realize it's very new. We wanted to provide a link for that. Full disclosure, I think it's an affiliate link. Is that right, Keith?
it is. Yeah. I don't know
Okay.
if I make any money. I'm certain that I do, but I don't really care about it. It'll get you
We just
10% off and $100 off your first month or something like that. I don't really know.
There you go. So something to help that helps you guys as well, actually, if you end up using it. You probably will if you want to do any wholesaling, because it's a darn affordable and provides you with, a really solid list of people who would be potential buyers, right? So might as well check it out, try it out. I think they have a 7-day free trial. Is that right? I think that's what the video said.
Oh, okay, great.
Check it out. So you have probably a free trial there. It sounded like a 1 week, 7-day trial. And then, and we'd love to hear back from all of you as well. How did it go? Were you able to find a buyer pretty quickly? Your feedback, because Keith just started using this, so we're still kind of vetting that, and he had a good experience so far. But one doesn't make a pattern.
That's
You know what I
exactly
mean?
right.
So we want to see 2, 3 consistent, quick dispose with these kinds of situations, contracts. All right. Well, we would like to, get that link to you. Where do you want to share that, Keith? Do you want to share it in the chat? We could probably share it in the
Yeah,
Facebook
I
group.
actually already have
I'll
it
probably
queued
email
up
it out. I'll
and
blast
ready
it to
to
everybody
go.
and assault you with it.
You should just copy and paste everything that I put in the chat into a Google Doc or a Word doc, or Hunter, you're screwed. Put somewhere on your phone.
Yeah.
There's
And I think
there's
that's something we'll post in also if you're a client, we'll post it in the clients only group as well. I'll share that with you all and I'll email it out if you're on my email list. If you haven't unsubscribed or said my emails are spam, as some people do occasionally, then you'll get that. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'd love to take some questions,
Yeah.
comments, concerns. Now, feel free to unmute and talk or shoot a question into the chat. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking because, as you can tell, I can talk about absolutely nothing for just continuously, and no one can stop me. And that's just
I'll chime in here.
Yes, sir.
awesome. Thanks, Chad.
I don't think I've ever wholesaled a property like myself, right? 9 out of 10 times when I do, and I have something because I've never built a buyer's list, I've never done the dispo side, and because it's a whole nother ball game of being to dispo these properties. And I've always focused on the
Yes.
buying, I focused on the rehab, I focused on all the other 900 things we need to do. And I was like, I've never have done that side. So anytime I've ever wholesaled something, I've just partnered with a wholesaler. And I'm like, let's say we make 15, 20,000, I'll split it 50-50 and just you go dispo it, you go get it gone. And I'm happy with doing that a lot of times because
Yeah.
it's just this, the dispo side can be a lot of work. And
Yeah.
especially for me, just one single dude, just, trying to do everything himself. I've got one in Florida right now that I picked up dirt cheap and it's land. And I just partnered with the wholesaler in Florida. I'm like, here, let's see if you can move it. I don't
Good.
feel like dealing with it kind of thing. And if he can, he can. If he can't, he can. It's whatever. But we'll kind of see. So that's my experience with working
Yeah,
with,
man,
with the
absolutely.
wholesale side.
Absolutely.
So,
And I
like
think
the
that there's a-
co-wholesale agreement,
Yeah.
is that and we have that as well, right? We offer that
Yep.
in our
Co-wholesale.
PSA course, and you guys as clients have that. And
Yeah,
I
there's a
keep,
lot to be said.
yeah, go ahead, Keith.
There's a lot to be said about that. I think I don't remember what book I'm about to quote. I want to say it's Who Not How, but I don't think that it actually is. Talking about how you shouldn't do things that are your weaknesses. You should find somebody else who like, hey, this is your strength. Your strength is my weakness. I shouldn't try to become this perfectly well-rounded person. At that point, you're going to become a jack of all trades and a master of none. We should actually do the things that we're really good at and find other people to fill our gaps. With that being said, I believe that entrepreneurship is guaranteed success if you learn marketing. Entrepreneurship as a whole in any industry, you are guaranteed to be successful if you can master marketing. How do you master marketing? Well, marketing and sales, I should say marketing / sales. You kind of have to be good at both. You have to be good at getting eyeballs on all of your stuff and then good at converting those people who are just curious into somebody who is serious. So being good at marketing and sales is going to give you certainty. At the end of the day, the most well-paid people are the ones that are good at marketing and sales. The reason why I bring that up is because if you're not good at marketing and sales, I think that you should be. And if you are always relying on another person to dispo your deals, you have a crutch, you have a gaping hole in your business. And so I think that you should know it well enough and have a process that's good enough that if needed, you could do it yourself. Honestly, that's where I am. If you think about it, my first 4 years of real estate was nothing but wholesaling. It was exclusively wholesaling houses. For the next almost 4.5 years, I got greedy and I took title to absolutely everything and I didn't wholesale at all. And then this year, kind of changing changing my tune on that, going back to some of my wholesaling roots. And dude, I'm glad that I set myself up for success the first 4 years, because even though I've had a 4-year nap with wholesaling, we jumped right back in like nothing ever happened. Wholesale, out the gate. It's all about marketing and sales. And so, Chad, those are two opposing thought processes. Use people to their strengths and to fill your weaknesses. At the same time, marketing and sales is the name of the game when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And I would say, there are those states where it has become more difficult to wholesale, right? Unless you are a licensed real estate agent. You know what I mean? So if you know someone
Yes,
who
I agree with
wholesales, who
that.
has a license
Yeah.
in that state, for instance, in REI Automated, Daniel Olin, he lives in Illinois and he's a licensed real estate agent,
Yeah.
and he could wholesale Illinois properties for you, like
Yep.
with a co-wholesale agreement.
Yep.
He probably would be happy to do that because it's like that's super easy money, isn't it? Like someone just finds the gets the property under contract, like, hey, I need help wholesaling this in Illinois.
Yep.
Okay, sure. So if you have a property that you want to wholesale in a specific state and you need someone who's a licensed real estate agent who understands wholesaling and maybe can help, hook you up with the buyer and can make it all legit, then that makes a lot of sense to me. I would probably go that route. Whereas if it's an easy state to do it in, you can do it by yourself, and now you've got something like investor base. You don't need to build a list. It's just you just go in there and just start calling the numbers, right?
Yep.
I mean, my goodness. That's not necessarily 100% foolproof, but certainly it provides a path forward for anyone who's looking to do this. So seems like worth doing. Give it a try, Chad. Don't be scared.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure
And
you.
something else that
Yeah.
I'm all about, like, I'm really passionate about setting people up for success, because I don't feel like I was set for success when I started off here. In our wholesale process, you'll notice that we have post online ads. I just want to direct you to 3 things: PropStream cash buyers list, 75 hard, I guess 4 things: cold call buyers list. So posting online ads, we're getting it on the MLS, on Zillow, Investor Base, Investor Lift, Facebook, Craigslist, Connected Investor, and Bigger Pockets. I want you to imagine how many thousands of people. I do not give a crap how rural this house is. There will be thousands. And if you're in a big metropolitan city, there will probably be tens of thousands of people that look at this house. But wait, there's more. That's just online ads. After that, then market to PropStream cash buyers list. Now, this is everything that was online. That's inbound marketing. Y'all know how much I love inbound marketing versus outbound marketing. I want leads to be chasing me rather than me chasing leads. But there's something to be said about putting the ads out there and letting people contact you, and not just sitting on your hands idly waiting for magic to happen. Get out there and do something. So market to a PropStream cash buyers list. I have a very specific, very niche way of pulling a cash buyers list that is freaking dope. It is very good. You will not be wasting time or money doing this. There's 11 things here that I have filtered down for you to be successful. I'm not a fan of pulling lists off of PropStream, by the way, but this actually works. So that's number 2. Number 3, 75. Y'all know what 75 hard is, right? 2 workouts a day, one of them being outside, gallon of water, taking a picture. People do it on social media all the time. Well, we've created 75 hard for real estate investors. It's all about networking. Find the 25 top wholesalers where your subject property is and tell them about your deal. Then find the top 25 cash buyers in your subject property area and tell them about your deal. Go find the top 15 realtors and go find the top 10 title companies. When you start leveraging these 4 individuals, wholesalers, cash buyers, realtors, and title companies, when you start using their network, again, this is the power of multiplication here, or the ripple, whatever you want to call it, where I'm not just relying on my little old geese network. Now we're relying, 10 title companies? Hello. We're talking thousands of transactions. So find them, and then if you want to extra credit, top 5 hedge funds if you're in an area where hedge funds are buying up, as well as landlords actually. So that's 75 hard for real estate investors, and then lastly is cold calling your cash buyers list. And here's your cold calling script. So we have this, like, again, well thought out, well planned, well executed. Chad, I mean, even for somebody who has never wholesaled a house and always relied on other people, I guarantee you, if you followed this, I mean, it's literally step by step. It's like post, let me find one. Post ad to online. Operation Facebook is the most complex one. Join local Facebook groups. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use this document to organize the groups that you've joined. And here's the video showing it. Here's your template. My goodness sakes, let's back out a little bit, yeah? Here's how you're going to use it. Here's how you're going to join REI groups, real estate investors. So you're just going to match this word with this word. What is the city, the state, the region, the community, the neighborhood, the area code that you're in? And then just do, you know, city, San Antonio, investor, Texas, real estate investor, 808, REI, whatever. Put all that stuff in, join the Facebook groups, put in the group name, the link to the group, the status of whether or not it's pending, join, or if you have to fill out some questions. You know how you have to fill out questions to join some groups and then you get accepted like 3 days later. Limitations, meaning like, can a page post on this group? I have a Facebook page for my business. Some of them, they don't allow that though. So you might want to put that in, otherwise you're going to get banned. And then here's a link to the post and the date that you posted it. Here's a second post, the date that you posted it, a third post, the date that you posted it. This is just the REI tab. Then we're going to do the same thing with these keywords in the buy, sell, trade tab. Then we're going to do these keywords in the miscellaneous tab. That's where you're going to join the Facebook groups. Now, after you've joined the Facebook groups, then we're going to post the deal. And this is what it's going to look like. And then you're going to post it on the business page. Then you're going to post it on Facebook Marketplace. Then you're going to post it in the Facebook groups. Then you're going to message everybody in the comment section. Oh, ninja tip. You just joined a bunch of Facebook groups. This is something that I recently learned. I'm still stoked about this. You just joined a bunch of Facebook groups. Cold reach outs. Look at this. This is disgusting. Go to the investor Facebook groups that you've just joined and search for @gmail.com. You know all the nincompoops that will post their email publicly in a comment on everybody else's deal? Hello, scrape that crap and use that to your advantage. You don't have to wait for them to post on yours. Take the thing that they commented on 6 months ago on somebody else's. So just search @gmail.com, pull all the emails from the Facebook post, send a direct message on Facebook to these people, and send them an email with the details of the deal. If they were active on social media at the time of the posting and commenting, then they're likely to be responsive when you message them. And then if you want to do this automatically, rather than doing this manually, use browse.ai to scrape this data, and it puts it in a Google Sheet for you. Beautiful. All right, that's Operation Facebook. This is just one. You also have Operation Investor Lift. You also have, like I said, Craigslist Connect Investor. It's literally a checklist of checklists.
Well, it is very thorough. If nothing else. If you don't sell the property after
It's
doing
it's a
even half
terrible
of
deal.
that,
It's not even a
you
deal.
you probably should just burn the property down. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's not going to sell.
Just start over again, guys. This one's not worth it. Yeah, crazy. Well, yeah, so it's a significant amount of really SOPs on how to dispo you just wholesaling, and then we've got that on other stuff. So if you guys are don't have access, yeah, I think most of you do, but some of you here are maybe not clients yet, don't have access to something like that yet. I don't know. Are we selling that separately?
No.
That do you
I
know?
mean, we can. Hey, if you want, tag me in a post in the REI Secrets Facebook group, and I'll be
We'll think
inclined to
about
give it to you for a significant discount, just because it's going to force me to make a new course with a new deliverable, and then I'll make money off of other people, not you.
I think
How's that sound?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I just haven't told Keith yet.
Oh, good deal. Yeah, this checklist is badass. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I didn't even know how
Very
extensive this
comprehensive.
was. Oh my goodness.
Literally, like, do this.
I'm gonna
thing.
have to increase the price.
Yeah.
You can't give them that much of a discount. That was crazy. So there's a lot of value in there for you, whether you're wholesaling or any number of other exit strategies and however you're dispoing stuff, the deal templates and all the SOPs in there. That's pretty amazing stuff there. If you're just getting started out and you don't have all that in place yet. Well, I think we are done. We're at the 1 hour mark, which is
Boom.
past where we usually go. We've shared a
much for
ton of
short, huh?
information. I know, right?
I don't have that much to talk
Keith
about.
is blessed with the gift of gab. Does anyone have anything that they really wanted to ask and they didn't get to? I know we've got a few new faces here that I haven't, who are in the Zoom room. We've got Kristen, hi, and James. I don't know if I know you, and Joseph and Nyani. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, Nyani. If you are, I know you're here and you've all been very quiet. Thank you for joining. And I see you, George, as well, hiding behind that lovely photo of your family. If anyone has a question,
You got a lot of kids, bro. Are those all your children? Or is that like a dang school? You could
That's
have
me.
your own soccer team, bro.
That's me.
That's
That's
very
me and
cool.
my clan, man. They're all over the place.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I didn't
Welcome.
realize you had so many kids.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
sorry. I've been stuck working while I try to listen. It's impossible to do it all.
no worries, no worries. Yeah, well, we're very happy to take any questions
Who has a
regarding
question?
wholesaling specifically.
Hurry up and ask a question.
If we can answer live, we will. If we can't, then we'll try and post an answer and tag you in the Facebook group. Sound of Silence. Great song. Can all give it a listen. Yeah. Well, and it's okay because I think we threw a fire hose of information at you in this live, and you probably are all like, wow, that was a lot, and I need to look into this more. And if you haven't done much wholesaling yet, you probably now are like, wow, that seems more possible. In particular, what I've often heard people say is it's hard to wholesale nationwide. Like if you're going to do wholesaling generally, yeah, you want to do it locally because then you have all your buyers and you can get to know people and you know the area. But it seems to me that with some of these tools like Investor Base or Investor Lift even, wholesaling nationwide becomes a much more feasible proposition. Seems a lot easier than ever before. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Has anyone been doing nationwide wholesaling or try doing that much yet? Or will you be doing it now? Who's gonna try and do some wholesales from the comfort of your home, right? You're not gonna drive 3 states away, I'm assuming. Check the property. I just wanted to see, because I couldn't trust the CMAs. I hope you guys can try out Keith's processes, see how it works, and yeah, and see it for yourself. Right on. Yeah, good, Moon. I know you are a pro all over that. Good job, man. So yeah, Moon, anything you want to share about your experience?
No, compared to what Keith's gonna say, mine is like baby stuff. So I'm never gonna embarrass myself.
Dude, I freaking love you.
Are you still
Right.
here?
Don't say that. Any horror stories or
Oh, no-
or
none.
wins?
Nothing recently because we kind of got into pretty house
Yeah.
business. So nothing scary or
Yeah,
horror
that's
story.
good. Pretty house business. Yeah. Keeping away from those the meth houses
The meth houses. Yeah, I'm not.
in Illinois.
I'm not brave as Keith.
Hey, meth houses are great in Alabama. We don't have any issues here with those.
Oh my goodness sake.
Bring them to Alabama. It's
I'm getting in-
it's the no disclosure state, man. It's caveat emptor. It's the Wild West
Yeah.
here. Bring it.
Yeah. Don't light a match.
Whatever.
Right.
You know, we do them all. It doesn't matter.
Right. Awesome.
We got Meth Mountain right around the corner from me.
My goodness.
More meth arrests on that mountain per like square mile than the entire state. Yeah, it's a
Oh.
big deal.
The state record.
The hills have eyes type of thing.
Yeah, it's wild.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's right there next to Lake Gunnersville, which is like, big money in this area. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, that is interesting. Huh. Okay, interesting. Well, there's always power in numbers. So being part of a community, whether it's our REI automated community or just even within our free group, REI Secrets, wherever you're at, post, ask questions, see what other people have done, where they've done their deals, if they have advice or tips or resources to share. I think it's always good to help each other out as real estate investors. You don't want to be doing this alone. It's daunting and hard, and there's a lot
I
of
think that we even have
confusing
a,
information online.
I think that we have a Google sheet floating around somewhere in the group that has a list of title companies and title attorneys in darn near every state with like notes. Here's the person's name, email, phone number, and then like, do they allow wholesaling? Will they do a sub two? Will they do a novation? Are they okay with a wrap? That sort of stuff. I don't know
Wow.
who it is. I'm not the owner of it. Somebody else started it years ago, and it's been helpful. Pretty sure I've used it actually.
Is that in the clients only group that's kind of passed
Yes.
around, or?
Yes, that's
Okay.
There's certainly in the client zone.
Well, there's a reason to become a client, guys, if you're not already.
A little bit of a cheat sheet, if you will.
That would be very useful, yeah, to have that. All right, well, it's time to wrap it up. Thank you all for coming today. We'll be sharing some more stuff in the group and through email, and we'll see you next week, I hope. If we've got something good, you might show up. Who knows? Okay?
Y'all have a wonderful night. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
Take
Bye.
it easy.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.